got to miss, like, all the marketing stuff we do and all the content stuff we do. I've not actually really found a niche for this podcast in the sense that it's not necessarily strictly about content marketing or about social media or what we do. But I suppose the niche of it is Wirral-based business owners coming together and talking about how they build businesses. And I'm always fascinated because when I started out, I don't know if you know this, but I started in construction. I was an a training architect for 6 years, leaving school, 16 to 21. And then in the 2008 recession, I was made redundant.
Yeah.
And just because I was there just over 5 years, I got a payout.
Right.
The payout was like £3,400, and then I had like a credit card of like, so I think I had about £4,500, and I was like balling out of control at 21 on £4,500. But I didn't have a job and I couldn't get a job, so I started being in fitness. Got a job in David Lloyd, like you do.
Standard.
Yeah, and then kind of spent 4 years there, 5 years there, and then set up a fitness studio.
Yeah.
Then went and built the fitness studio. Then went and built an online coaching side of it. And then I always knew I wanted to do something with content, or something with video at least. And we started a video editing company. So our whole model was, you would send us a video, we'd edit it and send it back to you. That was it. And I quickly realised that wasn't that scalable. So I'm always fascinated with like businesses that have like become like really established locally. But actually, there's always like an origin story to it, and that's kind of what the niche of the podcast has become.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, how one business develops and can be so different to what it started out at
100%,
5 years previous.
100%, yeah. I mean, the amount of like trial and error that we've been through, and the amount of like stuff that we've done that hasn't worked, admittedly, to get where we are today, where it is working, it's like, you know, most people do just give up. Just like there's easy ways to make a living than doing this, and they don't make the conditions right to make like super successful. So I'm always fascinated with businesses that come out the other side of that, like maybe 18 months to 2 years when they first start out. Is like, it's tough.
Yeah, because the first 2 years in particular are completely different. What's going to shape your future? Because for us, we basically, I mean, our background, if you like, me and my business partner met at a previous company we were working for, and then we were having conversations over a course of time, which essentially led us to setting up what we did. But for the first year, 18 months, probably 12 months, I'd say, we were basically absolutely everything. Like, we were booking viewings, we were doing the viewings, we were doing valuations, we were progressing sales, we were negotiating offers, we were the cleaner. You do everything, and there's got to be an acceptance that first kind of year to two is almost a write-off in your life, isn't it? But then these things develop, and that's where things change, and that's where people are ultimately important.
I've actually done a bit of research on this, and it's like there's 4 of like the most stressful things you can do. It's like getting married, having kids, running a business, getting divorced, and moving house.
I was going to say, if you say getting married, I don't think my wife would be saying that. But
no, getting divorced is one. Moving house, running a business, and having kids. And in the space of like COVID, we kind of, within that, say, 2 year period, we moved house, started a business.
You've done a lot.
And had our first kid.
Wow.
So to get through that was
How do you still have hair, mate?
Well, it's grey. It's grey. And I am losing it, to be fair. Touche. Now, for anyone in my audience who might not be aware of who you are and what you do, give us a bit of background on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Mike. We own an estate agency business called Home Estate Agents. We're based in West Kirby and Oxton. Started in the summer of 2022, and 3.5 years on, we've got an office in Oxton now, which covers the east side of the Wirral. West Kirby covers the west side. And yeah, we're essentially a team of 18, soon to be 19, 20, I'd imagine, over the course of the next couple of months. Okay. Predominantly a sales business, but we're growing our letting side as well.
So when you are in that initial phase of like starting a business, and you kind of, I agree, you do kind of just accept the fact that you are everything in the business, from fucking toilet cleaner to the negotiating of deals. Like, that is literally what it is. Was it always in your head when you started out, I want to have a team of 20 people?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I think what we want to strike a balance between having us as business owners being involved. We still go to valuations, we still do some viewings, you know, we're still very much in and around the team. We're not sat upstairs just in the ivory tower all day. So we wanted to have that, but we wanted to have a focus on having great people, because to grow, you know, there comes a point where you have to put that responsibility on other people and train and develop them. And you know, the plan is to grow more, but it's trying to strike the balance where we don't get to a certain size, I suppose, where the brand becomes the asset and the people are optional. We're probably the other way around. The people are our asset, and I get people is the brand.
Yeah, 100%. I get that from the content as well. That I see all the time. It's like everyone, yourself included, is in the content. Yeah. And I don't know if you maybe want to dive into this a little bit, but the vibe that I get, it's almost like a family culture that everyone buys into. There's no one that I see in we've worked with businesses before where it's really hard to work with them. Not for the fact that they're hard to work with, for the fact that the people, it's not their job to do content. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
you can't force people to do. It's funny, people say to us, like, you guys must love it, and do you know what, we don't really, but it's one of those where we just understand the importance and significance of it now. 100%. We need to do it. And I think when we bring people in, it's not, don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be on your CV, I'm comfortable at doing video, but it just develops, and we don't put people under pressure. Give people a go. And what you find is when people come out the comfort zone naturally and they do it more, then obviously it becomes more comfortable for them.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So take me back when you first started out. What was it like going from being, in my head, when we started this, I was the jack of all trades. Yeah. I was literally doing everything from audio to visuals to content to editing, everything. How do you go from that to, was it like a clear mapping of it where you go, right, we're going to get to 2 people, and then we're going to get to 5 and then to 10? Was that what it was like? Yeah,
we planned about 12 months and then probably 2 years in advance, and then reverse engineered it, right, I'd say. And I think that's the way a business like us has to do it, really, for success. I'd say we drained ourselves in the first 6 months. Like, it was fucking really difficult, because we started at the end of a property boom. So post-COVID, the base rate was incredibly low, interest rates were low, mortgage rates were a lot lower than what they are now. So the market was insane. So we caught the back end of it. And then what happened was there was a Liz Truss mini budget, which essentially panicked the markets, and the market paused for about 6 months. Wow. So all of a sudden, we weren't even a year in, and we'd experienced chaos of a very busy market. And then essentially the market almost going to shit. Yeah. So we had that to contend with, but we got ourselves in a position where we were able to get the first person in, and once we managed to get her in, Amy, who's been with us still very much a massive part of our business, that was a game changer, because it just allowed us to not wear as many hats as what we were. But I think the difficulty of it is it's your first hire. Not only are you're putting the business essentially at risk, because it's a cost that you haven't previously had, but you want to make sure you're not putting that individual at risk, because Amy came from another company, very established, and putting a trust in us, and it's essentially we're paying her wages, and we want to ensure that we're in a position where we can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's where it becomes real, and that responsibility becomes the real thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing I really, and even now, really, like, if I'm honest, we got like freelancers working for us now. We got people coming into the business now, and I'm back in full control of the business now. My business partner's not in the business. Yeah. And one thing that I really struggled with when I started out was, can people edit videos to my level? Yeah. Can people put content out to my level? And letting it go and putting it in the hands of someone else.
That is the hardest.
I found it hard.
That's the hardest bit of it, to be totally honest with you, mate. It's one of those where, but it naturally, there has to be an acceptance of that, otherwise you won't grow.
Yeah.
And I suppose you need to understand what you want your business to look like.
100%.
And if there's growth, then, as I said, you're going to have to bite the bullet and do it. But then, the development and the training, that's probably one of the most funnest parts of the job, I'd say. Being able to see someone progress, and you see those incremental improvements in the individual that you've influenced. There's not much more.
It's really funny, because like you said then about you realise the importance of, let's say, content marketing. Back when like we were young whippersnappers, like we spoke about just before we came on, it's like I remember being in Barris. I used to work for Barris Homes years ago, and I was a trainee architect. And we were building houses, like a lot of them. And the CEO, I think his name was John, I can't remember his full name, but I'd probably seen him 3 times in 6 years. And he was like this, it was like this mystique about him. And it's like, no one, if he came in the office, shit was about to go down, you know what I mean? And nowadays, it's completely flipped in the sense that these CEOs, these big, massive companies are on social media, front facing. Yeah. That was unheard of. Yeah,
it's flipped for the better though, I think, hasn't it?
I think so, because people are more, there's less place to hide, for one, and there's in the second, because you're putting, essentially, every time you put content out there, you're putting your own brand on the line, essentially. But it's flipped in the sense that everything's more front facing. Yeah. Everything's more open to the public, and it's, I say to people all the time, post the content. Post it, because if you're not, there's someone else going to post it that's might not be as good as what you do, might not have the experience of what you do, but they'll get the business because they're seen.
It makes it relatable, to, like you as an individual, relatable, I think. Yeah. Because what we find is, we'll go out to appointments and valuations and we've never met the person in our lives, but they comment, they say they almost feel like they know us. Yeah. And you'll probably get it yourself. With people that you meet, it's weird, isn't it, that you've had that introduction even though you haven't physically had it. Yeah.
Well, the podcast is like, it kind of grew legs now, the podcast, really. And I really enjoy doing the podcast because I have like more in-depth conversations with people that I would never have. Like me, we would never have this conversation without, maybe we would if we had a pint or something, or we go for like Chinese or something. But generally, you're not going to speak to business owners so raw about their business in the space of an hour without doing the podcast. But we're getting people now, like we've got the next month of people like booked in for podcasts. We've got people asking to come on the podcast that I literally can't fit in, and I'm like, and it's great in that sense because.
But that's because the content's been building trust. That's why you'll have people approaching you.
Well, one thing I really like planned, this was like a concerted effort, is like when I put podcast clips out on social, I try not to make it about me. I try to make it about the person on the podcast, because at the end of the day, like, you make the podcast, you make up the content. Like the podcast is nothing without the guest. Yeah. And I love that in the sense that I can get value from it because I can invite you on, and you can get value out of it because you can talk more about explicitly about your business, give more background and context that people might not know about, and it kind of feeds into that. It kind of feeds into that culture of, like, I always say, if you might get a content creator who gets millions and millions of views. Happy days. I'm probably not going to be that. I'm probably not going to be in millions of views. But what I'm probably going to be is like really, really relatable to a very niche market of people. Now, Home Wirral, you need to be appealing to that group of people, right? Yeah. And now when I watch your content, I'm seeing people who look like they love being on video, look like they love working for the company, love like they love buying and selling houses. That is the key to it, and that's the vibe that I get. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that at all. But yeah, it's like I just think it's super important for businesses to know that now, because I remember when I started out, this was like post-COVID, and I remember like approaching businesses and working with them, and they might get like the secretary to do like one social media post a week, or they might get the 19-year-old niece on TikTok to do something that was all right. Yeah. But now I think they're realising that it's not just an afterthought anymore. They have to be present.
Yeah, it's. I just think it's probably one of the most important things in our business.
Yeah.
And it's something that's a non-negotiable. That we post that. You say, don't you post the content a lot? We do every day. We don't hammer, the Instagram grid with multiple videos a day because we find like it would get lost and probably becomes a bit irrelevant. But I think every single day you need to go out there, and we're not one of these tech kind of. We're not that savvy, believe it or not, in the sense of understanding what's going to get views or not. Sometimes it's luck of the draw, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think you just need to be consistent.
Well, people know what you're about. Like, if you go back to the real, just raw, like marketing basics of like who's your target audience, who do you want to attract, the proof is in the pudding, right? If you're putting out content every day, that's specific to an audience.
We get a lot of the people that work for us. I'd say about 70% of our staff have came from other agents that we've essentially.
Yeah. Do a lot of your inquiries and stuff come from that, from socials?
Loads. And that's a point I'm about to make, that the team say to us where they've been previously, they've never had an amount of calls saying, want to book you out to come and see us, give your opinion on what you think our house is worth. Oh, great. Where did you see us? Where do you hear from us? We follow you on Instagram or Facebook. And we get an unprecedented amount of leads from that. And I think it's because, like you said before, being consistent, trying to put stuff out. It's not just the content as well. The content has to be relevant. If we just put property videos out every single day, then they get probably the best attention because people like seeing nice houses and funky style videos that our videographer does. But at the same time, we want to mix it up. We want to offer genuine market commentary about what's going on. Because we're fortunate that people are obsessed with property. Not just on the Wirral, but in general in the UK. Rightmove's one of the most downloaded apps.
Yeah.
People will tell you all the time, oh, I've been looking on Rightmove and stuff like that. So we're fortunate that we're the keeper to probably one of Britain's most interested topics.
Love that.
So yeah.
Funny enough, I was doing some deep research on YouTube last night actually. And the top 4, I think, I'll show you afterwards. The top 4 monetizable niches are content marketing, which is good for us, property, investments and savings and investments, and lifestyle. And I'm looking at it going, like, people are so interested in this stuff because they're realising, like, these 9-to-5 jobs, okay, great, like, I'm going to get a safe 9-to-5. I realised really young, the safe 9-to-5 wasn't that safe. Because it was made redundant. So
and even less so now with the cost to employ someone.
But if you're like, say 21, 22, 23, got a bit of ambition about you. I look at like the budgets and stuff and go, back then when I was like really ambitious and really wanted to kick on. Yeah. I was like really incentivized to do it because things were like in my favour to do it. Yeah. Nowadays, I've even just coming into this room, within like 3 weeks I had bills, letters off HMRC. Yeah. And it wasn't anything that I'd like break the business, but it was like 800 quid here, 700 quid there, 400 quid here. And I think I had like 3.5 grand of just like random bills that I didn't have before. And I was like...
You learn very quickly, mate, don't you?
Yeah. I remember speaking to yourself and like, there's like, what do you call it, like PAYE bills and all that shit, and national insurance coming in and this and that, and April's coming up, and I'm actually putting off hiring till April. Yeah. So I'm interviewing now, but I can put off hiring till April just so I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot financially. Yeah. Because we're in a really good position financially now, but we're not in a good so good of a position that I can afford to make massive mistakes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's tricky as a business owner, right?
You sometimes though, I think you've got to take a gamble on what the future looks like, and hiring that person, if that's going to bring you the freedom, and essentially bringing a person and buying your time back, isn't it?
100%.
And if it does that and enables you to operate to a more efficient level, then sometimes it's always going to be a gamble. I think you've got to be careful though, mate, not to think too much on that, because you can end up driving yourself mad and find various barriers to get in the way of bringing someone in. But you're right in what you're saying, because a bit like what I said before about when we brought Amy in, like you've got to make sure you're protecting the individual as well, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. So how important was that appointment to Home, of like having someone there like Amy who just literally
massive, yeah. Because what she did was, we had about, I think when we brought her on board, we probably had about 70 properties, just between me and Ricky. So it's probably why we both lost a lot of hair. It was crazy. Like, we were literally, it comes to a point where it's almost untenable, really.
Yeah.
Because what we found is, we were offering a service where we were doing everything and people loved it. But then it'll get to a point where you can't physically do what you were doing because you can't split yourself into multiple pieces.
There is only X amount of hours in your day that you can work. Yeah.
When it becomes almost unmanageable, it's good and bad, because it's bad that you need to act there and then, because once you get to that stage, it can end up affecting the reputation of your business.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, if your service levels drops. So every time it gets to a point where we think, well, we're being reactive more than proactive here, that's the time to go and get someone.
That.
So it massively helped, but I think because we were very cautious, and I've seen companies in the past in our industry hire multiple people at once and almost take a gamble that it's just going to work itself out, and if it doesn't, then you're up shit creek.
Was that part of your thinking when you went from West Kirby to having 2 offices?
Yeah.
Was that part of your thinking, was it?
Yeah, we were always going to do that, definitely. We always fancied East and West.
Yeah.
And me and Ricky have got a decent background in Prenton, so Woodchurch Road is where historically those agents would be, and you would cover, like, what you get with that market is massive, a load of chimney pots. So like Prenton, Birkenhead, Tranmere, Oxton, Bebington, Bromber, Put Sunlight. And there's a lot of chimney pots, whereas West Wirral, there's less. But because the values are higher, the fees higher. So you have to sell less to make the same amount of money, basically. But you need both, because we find people move east to west quite often, sometimes west to east. So we want to capture people on the journey. Yeah. But we always initially the plan was to be in Prenton and Estate Agents Row, but we just, when the opportunity came along, like, we loved the building, we loved being in Oxton, and it kind of supports our thoughts, how we are a bit as a business. We see ourselves different from the rest. And even though we still compete in the same market that all those Prenton agents do, we just do it from my opinion.
And I see a lot of Home Wirral boards popping up around ours now.
Yeah.
We're
Bromber, aren't you?
Yeah, we're on that, like, literally the cusp of Eastham and Bromber.
Yeah.
So, like, 3 doors down from us is Bromber.
We have a go out there, to be fair.
Technically, we're an Eastern postcode.
Yeah.
But, like, literally the next postcode is Bromber.
Do you know what, though, mate? In this day and age, you don't need an office in every town.
No.
You can, with Rightmove and social media, you can you can reach far and wide, whereas, back in the day, you probably needed multiple offices, but you don't know. And I think having East and West gives us that option to go a little bit further.
I mean, we do a lot of work, and like the consultant does a lot of work in West Kirby. It's 20 minutes. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like.
It's weird, people's attitudes, though. When we started in West Kirby, we covered the entire Wirral from there, and then when we opened Oxton, we split basically all the properties into 2. Yeah. Anything on the east side, the Wirral, Oxton looks after, and then West Kirby on the west. And then obviously the idea is both sides are then focused on their own areas and they grow. But when we were in West Kirby, only people in, like, Birkenhead would still use us from time to time. But it's weird that there's a bit of a trust we found where people would use a West Kirby agent from Birkenhead, but people in West Kirby wouldn't sell their house with an agent in Prenton. So I think we were fortunate that we started there. Is that like a class thing,
maybe?
I don't know, it's a class thing.
It's hard to pigeonhole people. I don't pigeonhole anyone. But.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's I don't know, bit of snobbery that comes with some people's attitudes, rightly or wrongly, but for whatever, that's what we found. We don't find Prenton agents marketing homes for people in West Wirral, but the other way around it worked. But for us, we always needed to get to East Wirral because that's where the volume is. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it, so good on you. Because I'm literally seeing it pop up. In terms of the property market right now, like, what's the state of the property market right now?
Things are good. Yeah, we've had 2 base rate drops in the last 6 months, and when that happens, mortgage lenders tend to soften their rates. Yeah. So affordability opens up a little bit for buyers, particularly first-time buyers,
Nice.
because it's so challenging to get on the market now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important that, you know, there's products there that are appealing themselves to basically help young people get on the property ladder. But we found that there was a very anticipated budget last year, wasn't there, the autumn one?
Yeah.
And if you saw anything affect things yourselves, but basically anyone leading up to November basically went, do you know what, I'm just going to wait and see what happens and what's done, because there was all kinds of rumours that there was going to be various taxes implemented in our sector. And basically what happened was nothing. There was a mansion tax that hasn't even came to fruition yet, but you know that affects a very small margin of the market, over 2 million quid. So essentially when people realised that the uncertainty had now gone, people then waited to get Christmas out the way, so they all put their houses on the market in January.
Yeah, do you find that's like, do you sell many houses over like £1 million, for example?
We literally will sell 70 grand flats and stuff at that level. Last year we thought we were the only agent that sold a house over 2 million quid last year. We had the most expensive transaction, I think it was 2.2, which is known as the Omaze house on the Wirral. You remember that, battering everyone's feed?
Yeah.
Basically they won it, they lived in Cheltenham, nice couple, and then they flogged it 6 months later. Yeah.
That's just because it was like untenable, the cost of it and stuff.
People, I saw them getting loads of criticism online saying, "Oh, it's a farce. They've won it and they've sold it." But people don't, being able to maintain a property at that level, very few people can. So they walked away with a nice fee. Yeah, they did. Yeah, so we sold that. So that's our best, or highest. I don't say our best result, but our most expensive property we sold.
What's funny that, I mean, that's some business model Amaze have got going on there, like, because they must have made. I mean, am I right in thinking they just kind of take houses that are or properties that are struggling to sell?
Yeah, that particular example was on the market for, started at like 4.5 million.
Really?
It's ridiculous, and then it went on a downward spiral. And to be fair, the agent that had it at the time obviously used a little bit of out the box thinking, and claimed they did. Not quite sure what happened, but it's resulted in Amaze obviously using it, and that's where we've ended up coming into the fold with it.
Well. So how hard was it for you to flog it after that?
Do you know what? Funny enough, we actually sold it before it even went live.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Though.
Yeah, Becky, who works now in our Oxton office, straight away really proactive, got on the phone, got on, I don't think the guy answered, but emailed him. And then Ricky basically kind of picked it up from there, did the viewings, negotiated. So we did get some interest once it went live, but we already had the buy, really. Wow. So it's a really good news story for us.
Yeah.
But some things I'm not saying every house at that level sells. That's the only one we've ever sold over 2. We've sold a few over 1, but sometimes those people, you might get 1 or 2 buys at that level a year.
Yeah.
They're very, they're far less frequent.
Yeah, they don't grow on trees.
Yeah. Our average price that we sell at in West Kirby is about 5, because the average value at that level is around that. And then in Oxton, it's probably around 250 to 3.
Yeah. I mean, I've always liked the idea of, like, on a personal level, of like getting out to that side of the Wirral. I mean, I grew up in Bromden all my life. And now we're in a slightly better financial position. I wouldn't mind getting out there, but again, it's...
Do you mean to live?
Yeah. It's like when we go up to West Kirby, like most weekends, we go up there walking the dog, especially in the summer months, and we love it. You know what I mean?
I think the Wirral's quite unique.
I actually did live in Hoylake for about a 6-month period.
Did you?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Do you know where the ship inn is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the block
My
of
mate
flats opposite
used
there.
to run. My mate's mum and dad used to have that. Yeah.
I literally used to live in the block of flats opposite. And do you know
Oh,
what? As a nice little, like, sort of single person's home where I was just kind of getting settled and stuff. Actually, it was sound, to be fair. And I enjoyed it. But back then, it's not like it is now. It was like very, like, sort of, it was very thriving in terms of, like...
There was a few clubs back in the day, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was like, nightlife was good, restaurants were good, daytime was good, like, everything was good about it.
Yeah.
The reason why I moved back, actually, wasn't for any reason I didn't like it. It was just everyone I knew and family and stuff were just back, like, in Bromber. So where we live now, we live in a great place because everything's within sort of like a mile of our house.
Yeah.
Parents, schools,
I think
everything.
Brom was always really popular. I think the Wirrals, we're fortunate that no matter where it is, whether it's west or east, it protects itself because it's such an aspirational place to live. And like anywhere, there's good and bad. But I think with the Wirral, we've got coastal, we've got rural. It's a unique island, really. There's not many other comparable places in the UK.
100%. It's funny what you say though about the Wirral. I always think that, you know, because when we were moving Content Room, we sat down with our business mentor and like just went through it all, and we were like plotting going to Liverpool in Box Studio, and Box Studio was an amazing place. It still is. I love that place. It was just, the fees were just absolutely astronomical.
Yeah.
And like getting it serviced and up to scratch was phenomenal. They wanted to so it just didn't work out. So he was like, should you stay in Liverpool? And I was thinking to myself, do you know what? Like the Wirral is such a diamond of a place, because if you think about it, where we are now, it's 10-15 minutes from the tunnel. We're 15-20 minutes from Chester. We've got all the Wirral accessible to us. We're right in the middle. Everyone knows where the Croft is. So why don't we just stay here?
Yeah.
And so we did that, and it's actually worked out to our benefits, because we get podcast guests coming from everywhere now. We get clients coming from all over the place. I mean, we're working with Rugby League, and working with Experience Sports, and they're coming from fucking everywhere. And I'm like, this is amazing. And we're only in a small room.
Yeah.
But we do external stuff as well, so we're not strictly in the room. But it is like, it is, so when we done it, I done a bit of deep research on this. So we're 2 motorways from Manchester. We're 1 motorway from North Wales.
Yeah.
We're a tunnel away from Liverpool. We're pretty much dead centre and very accessible to anywhere really across the northwest. And then some guy who came on, he wasn't on this podcast, but he was on a podcast he was doing himself, and he got a guest on who was talking about the Wirral. It was a party political podcast, and I was like listening to it, and they were like, "Oh, there's never any jobs on the Wirral. There's no jobs on the Wirral." And I was like, "That can't be right." No. I was like, "That can't be right." So I did a bit of like deep research in the chamber and the council, and you know, my best mate ChatGPT and all that, and it turns out there's 11,000 businesses on the Wirral. Wow. And within where your accountants is, Wainwright's up at the top, by the physio, up until the Village Hotel really, there's 152 businesses just there.
It's mad.
And I was like, it got me thinking, like if we took on 150 businesses as clients now, we'd have to do a massive hiring sort of thing, because like we wouldn't be able to handle all the business, and that's literally within probably a mile radius of our building.
There's some phenomenal businesses on the Wirral, isn't there?
Yeah.
Long standing.
So to say that there's no business there and nothing to be done in the Wirral, it's just wrong. Like,
no. I mean, I wouldn't know what the statistics are, but when I heard you say that there, I thought, I can't.
Now, of them 11,000 businesses, a lot of them are sort of like sole traders, a lot of them are like tradies, things of that nature. A lot of them are like maybe people doing side hustles and stuff like that. But as a core place to do business, there's loads of business. You just got to tap into it, and I don't think it just gets it doesn't get the flowers that it should, because you're right next to Liverpool and you're right next to Chester. I've got really thriving businesses.
Almost it's a bit of a hidden gem, isn't it? Untapped at times. Yeah. It's getting used more and more for filming, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I get for content, because we're blessed with things like the coastal line. The rural side of the Wirral, a lot of people, you know, outside wouldn't necessarily know about.
The Wirral Way gets, I mean, the amount of, I do a bit of a recce up the Wirral Way with a dog in the summer, like every couple of days really, and the amount of filming I see going down on the Wirral Way, I don't know what it is about the Wirral Way, it just always seems to be like casting stuff going down. It's
probably us,
we went
to be
down
fair. One of our favourite spots.
Yeah, we went down New Brighton. There's like a fully blown thing doing the city as ours. Fully blown like makeup, vans, like trailers, everything.
Were they there? I know they were in Aswell, weren't they, as well?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. So yeah, you're right, there is loads of stuff like that going down in the Wirral now. And I just think, I don't know whether people in the Wirral don't shout about it as much because we're right next to Liverpool and Chester. I don't know what it is. But there's so much here that
Ultimately, speaking from a property point of view, I think if you in comparison to the wider UK, the prices are pretty good for what you're getting, and I think that there's enough evidence over the last year to say that if you price your property accurately, it will sell. You know, unless there's something pretty, you know, wrong with it. You know, there's a structural issue or what have you that's pretty obvious, but overall, if it's priced accurately, it'll sell. And I think that post that Liz Truss mini budget, it's shown, because prices haven't gone backwards. You know, there's maybe the growth trajectory that we were on, it hasn't necessarily continued in that vein, and nowhere has, because that's based on interest rates and those factors. But prices haven't gone backwards. There was people saying there's going to be a market crash and all this. It just hasn't.
So if someone is, let's make it a little more practical. If someone is maybe a first-time buyer or looking to move house now on the Wirral, what's the first thing you would say for them to look at or do to start that journey, basically?
First thing they need to do is speak to a financial advisor, I would say. I wouldn't recommend going directly to a bank, because they only have the products that specific bank has. I would speak to a mortgage broker, because particularly if you're an inexperienced buyer and you're hearing all this kind of jargon, and it can be a little bit maybe intimidating for some people, speak to a mortgage broker that's been recommended to you by someone, and then be able to map out what your affordability is. Once you have an agreement in principle, which is essentially a certificate which enables a certificate showing what you're able to afford up to, it's then a case of being able to pinpoint the areas you want to be. So the first point of call is...
And is that where you would come in with your team?
Yeah, well, we have a recommended broker that we work with in West Kirby, who are really good. But I think that's always the first point. You need to know what you're able to afford, because we see sometimes some people viewing houses and, you know, when it comes to the cusp of it, they can't quite, the affordability's not there, or it's pointless viewing if you're unsure what you're able to go up to 100%. At the end of the day. So get that done first. And then, as I say, you will then be able to pinpoint where you need to be based on your affordability. I'm sure that, you know, we find things like, for example, someone might want to be in West Kirby, but they might not have the affordability, so they might look in areas like Greasby, for example, which, you know, you still get in a fantastic area, still get good value for your money. And, you know, you may get people that want to be in Oxton, and they like that period property, but they can't quite afford it, so maybe they may then look slightly outside the area, those kind of borderline areas where you're still getting some beautiful architecture, but it's more within your price point.
I love the Wirral. I gotta admit it. I actually genuinely love it, because I mean, there's lots to be said about certain places, and there's good and bad things about everywhere. But generally, like, the Wirral's a fucking great place. Yeah, I love it. I wouldn't move anywhere else, I don't think.
No.
Mate, that was brilliant. Thanks for your time. If anyone is looking to move house or wants to speak to you or get some advice, where's the best place they can find you? Yeah, 2 offices, West Kirby and Oxton, on the website. Both details are there. 015 1625 0125 is West Kirby. Oxton's 652 1770. So speak to the relevant branch and we'll help you out. Well, I'll be putting all the links, all the relevant links to Home Wirral around this podcast. This will be out next week. Appreciate your time, mate. You too, mate. Thanks for having me. That was absolute quality. I've learned a lot there, so thank you very much. I appreciate your time. No worries. Thanks for having me. We are done.